Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Okay, it is early. Not super early. It's 7:16 in the morning. And there is a ton of very cool and very fun work to do. So, what is the summary that launches us into the workflow this morning? It is probably the fact that I'm really trusting myself on this stuff. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. Loving what I'm seeing. So some things are being completely redone. And there are problems that are stupidly embarrassing that I'm overcoming. Like, for example, here you have here. His characterization was completely wrong. Now, the reality is I could not have known that in advance because this has been an evolving work in progress. So it's not that the drawing's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, some of the animation of this little sequence is pretty good. But, his characterization's wrong, whereas on this shot, his characterization's essentially been repaired. So the difference between this and this, well, one of the challenges you have working with Krita is that the characterization, or the all the pixels of your image are baked into the individual frames. So what do? If I change his facial structure proportions here, they'll immediately be wrong when I go to the very next frame. So my solution was Blender. You could try this with the Tahoma plastic tool, but frankly I think you'll probably be beating your head against the wall. So what I did was, and I show this because this is a real world example of how things can go really sideways, and it might make more sense in many cases to just redo the shot for sure. But what I did was I went in and I took my rendered image sequence and just made a copy of the folder with all the images in it and called that Asher pre-render. And then I loaded that into Blender, mapped to a plane. As you can see, if we hit tab, you can see I've subdivided that plane pretty aggressively. And then I went in, and as you can see, I'm thinking, okay, if I create a shape key, there's going to be an effect for sure on the background, but would you ever think about it or notice? And the answer is, of course you wouldn't. Of course not. So I just created the shape key, and this is set at 858, so you can see how it dials in. I don't want to put that back to 858-ish. There you go. So we'll save that. And it's already rendered, so when I cut it into the show, that definitely has more of the exaggerated characterization that suits Asher, and frankly his eyes were just too low down on his head. So the question now becomes, can we take the mods to this shot and bring them over to these other shots? The answer is probably not. If these shots are framed at all differently, which it looks like this one probably is, then it's going to be a bit difficult. But we can follow the same conceptual pattern anyway. This one, yeah, it's probably going to have to be redone. So it is what it is. So hello, concurrent users. Wonder who's out there this morning. Okay, so what we're going to do is do a quick recap of what the heck's going on this morning, and then we will start fixing things. So, long story short, I split the double length episode into two, which is something I've been planning to do for a while. So right now we're at the end of this episode, at the cliffhanger, we're at 24:11. Well, it really needs to be, for all intents and purposes, 23:30. So we still have about 41 seconds we could chop out of the show, which is great, because we're going to need 30 seconds for the, the musical intro segment, right? So got to do 24 minus the intro. So yesterday I quite literally chopped this whole bit out of the beginning of the show. I'm re-envisioning the opening narration so that we can really launch into the program, and by the time we get to 2.5 minutes, we are meeting our main character, which is kind of important. IMHO. Okay, so we're going to take the shots of Asher from when he was younger and try to fix them. So here we go. How are we going to do it? Well, as I said, it's Blender Day. We'll keep this one handy for reference. Okay, so I can hit Control, left arrow, right arrow to toggle between these keys, and you can see what we're trying to do. It's a pretty serious characterization change, but again, I'm not really apologizing for it. The reality is that there was a time when I thought this characterization was correct. And as the show has evolved and my style has evolved, most recently I would say my confidence in doing what really looks right to me has developed. I've developed stronger opinions about what we want to do here. So the first thing I'm going to do, this looks like this is Asher pre-render 42. So let's just go to folder 42 and see what we have. And the reality is we have nothing. Okay, so that's interesting. So let me just toggle through a few of these, and it looks to me .43. So this is going to be one of those mysteries, actually. If we got 42 pre-render, where the heck? Well, you know what? And if you get into a really large project, you're never going to have, I mean, after doing 8 movies, I can tell you, you're always going to have situations where you're going to have to go back. So this is actually 46. Okay, fine. So it's in 46. So the pre-render doesn't seem to have anything. And so the question I would have before I go too far, I guess it really doesn't matter, actually. I was going to say that are these sequences or images used anywhere else, but it doesn't matter. They're going to have to be deformed no matter what. So our solution is as follows. I'm going to actually take all these images, Control C, and actually dump them in this pre-render folder since it's empty anyway. Okay. Now what we'll do is let's save this file, but this time we will save it as 46. Okay, and I want to check that right there. Let's see what 46.blend is. Okay. Looks like I did all the animation in Blender. That makes my life a little bit easier. That makes my life actually a lot easier because now I don't have to worry about corrupting the background. That's really good. Okay, so in that case, don't ever do anything the hard way when you can do it the easy way. So that blend file can just get deleted. Forget that. Let's go back here. And now what we're going to do is all we have to do is modify. Though, wait a second. This isn't grease pencil, is it? This is grease pencil? Wow. I did not know I did that in a grease pencil. Well, that's even easier to fix. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Think about this for a minute. Let's go back over to, I guess that's our... Let's go into edit strokes mode. I am a little blown away. I did not realize I had done that in Blender. Hey, Munishwar, I saw your message, your comment where you referenced your chat comment. I'm like, okay, that was kind of pointless, but you know, it's cool, man. Making your presence known, that's cool. I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do about this shot. Well, the problem is that we've got all this animation baked into the grease pencil, and okay, so let me explain the following. This is the kind of challenge you're going to run into when you painted yourself into a corner a bit creatively. Number one, if I deform the grease pencil, let's say, I'm going to go into edit strokes mode. I really need to see my, I need to make this a 3D view so I can go in here. Okay. Okay, so his mouth, I know what I can do, I think. Okay. This has automatic, yeah, this probably has automatic ink lines. Yeah, to a degree. Okay, so the problem is that the animation is baked in, so any deformation of his head becomes probably problematic because he's got all these keyframes. So if I modify his head here, it'll switch back. We have the same problem we have in Krita. So that's a bit of a problem. Munishwar. So do you say that Munishwar? Munishwar. Munishwar. That's what I'm thinking. Something like that. Okay. So we can't do that. On the other hand, and believe me folks, I need to think this through. On the other hand, his head is moving, and it's also married to his body. They're all one piece, so we don't have an easy way to do a deformation that would carry across the entire animation. Back in the old days of 3ds Max, what we need is essentially a world space modifier. And we may be able to do that. I just have to think it through. So the other thing is, it doesn't do us any good to copy this or pre-render it to an image sequence because he's moving. It's a very, very tricky problem. So let me think about this for a minute. What we actually want here would be tough to do. This might actually be a lattice situation. Because what we need to do is we've got to, this will be an interesting challenge. What we probably want to do is render the grease pencil to an image sequence, which we've actually already done. Subdivide the mesh, and then probably either use another mesh or a lattice, probably another mesh, to deform it. And then just take the deformer and animate that along with his face so that the deformation carries throughout the bit. I do not know if that will work. So I'm going to leave this alone for a minute. I'm just going to go new and try something. I'm going to have to do a little quick experiment. So let's do import images as planes. And let's go pull in that image sequence. Because like I said, I'm not really sure this methodology will even work. But I think it might. So we're going to try. So this was, I believe it was 46, wasn't it? Oh yeah. There's the pre-render. So we'll go to 46, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull in the entire image sequence. Now obviously it would be useful to consider just reanimating it, and that's an option. We might have to, but what the heck. Okay, so now let's go. I think what I'll do is jump over here and let's just deal with a few things. This is starting. It appears to me that we're off by 1 here. So we'll start on 0, and I guess we should put that as start on 0 as well. Okay, so now here's the question. Let's take this. We're in object mode, so let's kind of frame it up to the camera. And so what we're trying to figure out here is, can we subdivide this mesh and then use another mesh to deform it so that the deformer can be animated and so that the deformation carries along in world space? And you'll see if it doesn't make perfect sense to you why we would want to do that. Well, keep watching. We'll figure it out. Okay, so now the question is, do we use a lattice or do we use something else? I tell you, I really haven't used lattices much in Blender, but that's all right. All right, so let's turn off only render, and now what we want to do is let's move the lattice. Let's look at it where it's at in space. Okay, so that's probably okay. That's fine. All right, and let me see. Okay, so I'm going to size this on the Y to just kind of pack it in somewhat kind of close to where we want it to be. And then basically what we want to do is, I'm hitting the G key, we basically want to kind of wrap that into his head area. Again, like I said, I don't know if this is going to work. Can we subdivide the lattice the same way? I probably not. I probably need to go into the edit mode. Yeah, we need to change the number of U and V subdivisions, something like that. Let's go in here. Yeah, we don't need them on W. Okay, so now all we're going to do, very simply, to test this is we're going to parent this to the lattice. So Control P, and lattice deform is what we want. Okay, so now what should happen, yep, that deforms him, and then we're going to have to animate the lattice. So what I think we'll do to make it easy is we'll use shape keys. That way we can make a modification. Like I'm going to go ahead and just make a stupid, really big modification like that. Okay. And then auto keying I want turned off at the moment. Okay, and then the question is, if we go forward in time, yep, look at that. Then we'll take the lattice, oopsie poo, hold on, that doesn't work. Okay, let me think about this for a minute. That's a really interesting problem. So to make this work, bizarrely enough, we might have to animate this. Yes, we will animate the mesh and parent the camera to the mesh. That's hilarious. Okay, I don't know, some of you guys might be confused out there, like what? Okay, so what we're going to do is take the camera and make it a child of the mesh. Okay, Control P. Now when I move the mesh around, the camera follows, right? So now, this is a little bit backwards, but what it allows us to do now is we can adjust that deformation any way we want, and the camera stays right with it. Blender to the rescue. That's funny. It's really funny because just yesterday I was telling, I think it was Yvette, I said, she mentioned using a lattice, and I'm like, man, in all these years I haven't used lattices in Blender, like hardly ever. Okay, so let's delete that key. We'll put in a basis key, and now all we have to do is stretch Asher out to match to match the other shot. I find this funny because, you know, the simple tools that are available in Blender that have been there for years and years are often so freaking useful. And by the way, I think that the lattice, I guess once we introduce shape keys, we can't really change anything. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just curious. Let's change this to 1. Can we do that? Yeah. I'm going to put that at 1 and just make sure that it still deforms properly. Yeah, it does. So we're in good shape. Okay. So with that, we will jump out of edit mode and add 2 shape keys, and now we just have to make it look like Asher. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we'll raise this up. I mean, number 1 is just get his eye line up. Look at that. This is so cool. And we'll stretch his chin area down just a little bit. And then the biggest challenge here is really we've got to sort of uncompensate a bit on his nose. So it seems to me that we need another, we really do need another, we need more resolution. So that means we really don't have any option, unfortunately. Since we're using, since I'm using relative vertex keys, okay, hold on a second. Well, okay. Since I'm using relative vertex keys, I might as well crank up the resolution so I can really control it. Like, there's no reason not to. So, and thank God Blender is so freaking performant that, yeah, see there, that's what I'm talking about. So I can bop that up and then just massage this into shape until it's exactly what I want. And then the real trick is going to be to move the mesh around so that it follows him. So this, without warbling, because it's probably going to warble a lot, actually. Warble meaning if he moves in the image sequence and the lattice doesn't stay right with him and track perfectly, his body's going to be like, and that tells us that we probably want as few animation keys as possible too. Okay, I want to bring in that chin, kind of little bit of work on his ear, little bit. Okay. And then you can sort of A/B the, you can A/B it like that to just see if it's working. That looks pretty good, actually. I'm going to say a little bit up on that ear. If I'm in front view, I can hit the 9 key to flip the canvas, so to speak. So, and by the way, just for the record, some of you may have noticed that by doing what I did, I inadvertently baked some deformation into the lattice, and I'm aware of that. I don't think it matters in this case. Let's go with that. We'll flip this back, go to the camera view, and let's compare this to this one. So you can see a huge difference. I feel like we're on track. Okay, so I'm going to turn on auto key. Actually, let's not turn on auto key. What I want to do, remember, this plane that has mesh around, the camera simply moving with it. So essentially the lattice becomes a world space modifier. And what I want to do is modify things as little as possible. So I'm going to take this key and move it up there. And let's see where Asher ends up. Okay, and this is going to be, it's even more challenging because Asher changes size. But I think we can compensate for that by making him actually a little bit smaller. So if you look at, let's actually insert a key. So I'm going to insert a location key here. This needs to be dope sheet, not grease pencil. Okay, so obviously this hasn't moved, but now I can toggle between the keys. So if you look here, we've got about 3 boxes above his head. Down here he's touching. What is that key? Hold on, I want to look at this and see what I got here. Oh, why is there a grease pencil key? I don't want any grease pencil keys. Okay, so we've got at the top of his head about 3. We could actually go to the trouble of really measuring this out, but I don't think I need to. I'm going to say here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes and 3 on the top. So I'm going to hit the G key and I'm hitting shift so I can really control this. And as you can see, he's too big. So now I'm going to hit S key to scale him. That's interesting. So we've got to scale him until we have approximately 3 on the top and 7 to the side. And that's a little too big actually. Because remember this is a really clunky problem to have to solve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the other problem we're going to have, hitting the G key. Okay, the other problem we're going to have now is that he's scaled, but there's no scale key back here. Alright, so I'm going to hit Alt S to reset the scaling and insert a key. So now what should this is wrong, by the way. This is right, this is wrong. I think the scale is wrong here. Yep. Insert a scale key. There. The relative scale of the lattice to the... Okay, so now the cool thing is I could actually make modifications to what the lattice is doing because it's not animated, right? And it'll keep doing its job. I'm feeling pretty good about that shot. Alright, I'm going to save this. 046 blend. I don't think I want to ditch the grease pencil stuff. So we'll call this 046 lattice deform Asher correction. We might as well give it a verbose title. Isn't that a crazy way to solve that problem? That is nuts. But boy did it work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to re-render this so it winds up looking more like this. I like it muy mucho. So here we need to find our proper location, which is SL scenes 046 render. Okay, just to check. Yep, those are the incorrect images, and we want this. Alright. Let's see. He looks around. Blah, 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 blah. Let's check and see how many images we have. 42. Okay. So the ending here is going to be 42. I think if we start on 0. Let me see. Aha, the first one is 1. Okay. So, I think that's okay. We'll ignore that. So it's 1 to 42. We're going to do 0 to 42. No big deal. The first one will get ignored. Did I get that right? Pre-render, RGB alpha. Yep. Saving our work, and let's render that baby. Boom. Yeah, that's pretty crazy how well that worked. I am curious about this, though. I'm looking at my preview in the other screen. Boo-doo-boo. Alright, let's jump back to Krita. Now, this is not particularly useful at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Well, actually, this might come in handy while it's rendering. Potentially, it could confuse the it could confuse Vegas. Okay, so let's go back here. And let's just take a look. We'll compare. Yep, that's typical. This is one thing I've noticed. It's a bit of a bug in Vegas. Restore this, and then we go here. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, we got a little bit of a push in, and as you can see, I'm gonna delete that key actually. Okay. Yeah, I might have to reload. Save that. File. Reload. Sometimes something about the cropping seems to definitely get Vegas a little confused. There we go. There we go. Well, that's the earlier shot. This is the one we're concerned about, and it's still cropping strangely. So let's see if we can get Vegas. There we go. Restore. Very strange. Ah, I like it. I like it. Let's go here and just compare. It's not like 100% exactly the same, but he just looks a little ornerier over here. So I think we're in good shape. At least we don't have the bizarre characterization flaw we had in this shot. 52. You can see pretty. Now this has. That's interesting. This one has the. Looks like the camera move has parallax, so this must have been done in Blender, which leads me to believe this is another grease pencil one, which means major pain actually. Unfortunately. But it is what it is. So let's face the music and go to 52. File. We'll save our work and go to 52. File, open. Let's just see what's in. Yep, 52.blend. Ooh, that's interesting. Nothing. Okay, okay. So, what the heck? Let's find out. If we go back over here, 52, what do we have? Maybe, I don't see, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that parallax. I would not have done that in Krita. I wonder if there's a Tahoma. It's possible that was done in OpenToonz. We're going back quite a bit in time here, so this probably will not exist. 052. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it definitely was not done in Tahoma. And Okay, we don't need that. So now we have a bit of a conundrum. Very interesting conundrum. You know what? The only way I can fix this is the same way I just fixed it in the other shot with the lattice. It's the only way I can do it. Morning, Amar. Hey, Amar, you'll like this. The way I just did this, this fix. I had this. Let's see. Was it? Check this out. The characterization was wrong. Okay. So the characterization was like this, and I needed to get it to this. Stretch his head out a bit. So I mapped it to a plane and added a lattice. But the problem is he actually walks through the scene. So he changes size and position. So I actually had to put the lattice in place, do a shape key, animate the actual mesh so that the lattice is modifying the shape of the face in world space, and then parent the camera to the mesh so that the camera follows it. What a major pain that was. And actually you can see some flaws if you really pay attention. But when I was watching it play back here, I never saw that. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, so kind of a fun problem solving process. It looks to me, unfortunately, like I'm going to have to do it the same way. Again, this one will be easy because he doesn't move. This one with a 3D camera move is going to be a major pain. Hey, Chris. Major pain. So this is 52. Let's rock and roll and just get this going. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Control C, Control V, and just copy the folder. Here's why. If I bring these images into Blender and then re-render, the minute it renders the first one, I'm actually rendering over the image that's mapped to the plane, and so all the deformations and everything will go double, and it'll completely corrupt and destroy the whole image sequence. So I'm going to make a copy and call this pre-render for lattice. Hey, Yvette, I'm actually using a lattice this morning. I haven't used a lattice and I haven't needed to use a lattice in Blender in like forever. But unbelievably, today I need to use a lattice. Crazy stuff. Okay, so let's should we take a chance and see if we can actually load it up here? Let's try it. Since I've already got the lattice and everything all set up, we're almost surely going to need to delete the animation keys, but let's give it a crack. So I'm going to grab the image or the plane, and I'm going to change this image sequence to 52, and then we'll see what happens. Yep, we're going to change it to this, and I guess we could do that. Okay, so now we have a different image sequence, and as you can see, the deformation isn't right anymore. Well, that's not unexpected. That's not unexpected at all. So step one is we'll get rid of that. Okay, step two, we'll go to the lattice and get rid of any and all shape keys. Now, I'm going to say, yeah, wait a minute. Holy cow. Why do we have umpteen quadzillion shape keys? Okay, I want to basically trick this into getting rid of all deformation. And that would probably be good. Now I wonder, I'm going to save this as 52, and we'll call this lattice. This is such a stupid problem to have. I mean, it could definitely be argued that this would be faster to just redo the shot. But you know what? It's kind of a fun challenge. So I'm going to add a, well, I can't add a basis key. What I need to do is just subdivide this and see if it's going to be nice to me. And it is. That's good. That's what we wanted. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. Since we're on frame 0, let's turn on auto keying for a moment. And what we're going to do is get the... See, I can't, if I move the lattice, if I move the lattice, it's going to bring the whole mesh along with it. Hey, Dirt. Right. Yep, Yvette suggested the lattice. So right now what I'm looking at is when the lattice is in front. Well, okay. Technically the lattice is on 0. So let's do it this way. I'm bumping into a problem here that's a bit stupid. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the automatic keyframe and turn it off. And now I'm going to grab this guy and let's look at, I'll leave the scale the way it is, but let's see what happens if we move this on the Y. Okay, so we'll move it on the Y a little bit so that when we adjust it we can still see the freaking lattice. The question I have is, if the lattice is literally one-dimensional, well, two-dimensional I should say, it doesn't have any thickness, if it's not actually on 0, is it still gonna, yes it is. That's what I wanted to know. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move Asher around so that, as you can see, so our lattice is doing what it needs to do. Now what would probably be smart, if I was smart, this is what I would do. I would scale up Asher. Watch this. This is probably going to be a crazy cheat. Now what happens if we scale Asher on the X? Since the camera is parented to the plane that the image sequence is on, it should be that if interesting. I think you have a troll. Hello, please pronounce my name. I'm not even going to try. I got better things to do. Okay. So if we stretch this wide, okay, so the camera cannot be stretched. So this is important. Let's stop this for a minute. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually Alt-P. We're going to clear the parenting relationship. What I want to do is I want to scale this sucker so that it actually encompasses his head perfectly, because that'll make it easier to track. Scale on the X. Why would, I wonder why someone would do that. Okay, so now we're going to parent that to lattice deform. And now we can put in 1, 2 shape keys. Go into edit mode. Whoops. Edit mode. And as you can see, it is modifying the background, but it's not going to matter. We're not going to notice that. Yeah, I'm with you, Dirt. It's like, really, dude? Who does that? So yeah, a little bit of a clunker. Little bit of a clunker, folks. And as I always say, I also reserve the right to fail spectacularly. Characterization match what was done in the later shots. His nose is definitely a little off. And we're going to have to really go in here and massage that a bit. Oh, come on, lattice. You're being a bit of a stupid lattice. Don't be stupid. From which age have you started animating? The troll asks. I think that's what Amar meant by a troll. So, assuming that the person who, for some bizarre reason, wants someone to pronounce their name, assuming that they are asking what... Hold on. Yvette's asking, do I have proportional editing on? I do, but right now the influence is really pretty small. So if I roll my mouse, you can see, right? So there's no getting around. In this particular case, this is just a delicate operation. It just is. There's certainly a case to be made for just redoing the shot. But like I said, this morning, this is kind of an interesting exercise, actually. I want to... So the one... Yes, well, it's moving the back... No, well, right, but you would have to have... Oh my gosh. That's the whole reason this is such a challenge, is because the character is married to the background. This is an image sequence of a finished scene, a finished shot. How do you take a finished shot when exactly the same way on every single animated keyframe? And there's no way you're going to change it the same way every time. Impossible. So we have to come up with a compromise here. The compromise is we're going to create a world space modifier in Blender. And right there we see a little problem that occurred. Let's turn on the automatic keying. And actually, let's see here. Okay, so yeah, so there's what I just did, but the problem is I need to now get this repositioned properly. And again, damn it, again, the lattice. I guess what we'll do, jeez. Come on. Okay, and then what that's doing is that's actually moving the lattice. Darn it. Okay. Thought I had the stupid mesh selected when I had the lattice selected. Okay, so I'm moving this in Y space so we can just get it back far enough so we can see what the heck we're doing. Now we're going to grab this, and the whole objective is to actually put this back roughly the way it was positioned. And I think we're screwed because actually the size is wrong. But maybe not. Maybe not. If we make this match, this is becoming a severe kludge. There we go. Oh, we're close. Nah. I'm just going to go ahead and make that bigger. Back in here now and just fine tune this. That stuff I just had to do kind of made it a little bit tricky. His nose is going to be a bit of a thing for this shot. But yeah, this is a very challenging challenge. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to save our work, and then we're going to try to move him move the mesh in order to track Asher through the shot. Okay, so we're going to get from here to here. First thing, it looks to me like the camera move pretty much begins right away. So what we'll do is we'll move this key forward so that we're... Boom. Land. Okay, so he lands there. So now what we have to do is just move him around so that he's still roughly the same deformation. And like I said, what a pain. What a pain, what a pain. Okay, let me go back to this key. Looks like we got about two squares of latitude on the sides, and we've got about 1 square of latitude on the top. So that tells me that probably we need to go this way. We're going to have to scale a little bit. And then adjust to taste. That might be okay. Nope, you see his ear drift? That's the problem I said on the last shot. I said we're running the risk of having that problem. And I was hoping by just having... Ah, I see what the problem is. Oh my gosh, this could not be more tricky. It's because he does a sudden move and then he lands. So what we're going to have to do... Oh my gosh, this is really tricky. This is a tricky, tricky, tricky one. I need to lose about a half a square. Yep, something like that. That's almost okay. So he lands, but he's turning on an angle. Oh my gosh. This is not fun. This is not fun. Alright, and now I want to do a very slight scaling. Okay, then what we're going to do, if you can believe this, is we're going to add a second shape key. Okay, that won't work. Well, maybe it will. Okay, all I want to do actually is just make this little modification to lift his forehead up. So I know that looks obnoxious, but it'll kind of make sense. Okay, you go back in here and move it this way. Just want to see what happens. Look at that. Yep, and I'm going to hit the I key to animate that, and then I'm going to roll back here. Oh, I guess I'm actually thinking I'm going to leave that in. Who knew? Okay, so we got this wiggling around. Is it going to matter? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's render the sucker out and see what we get. Okay, I'm going to look at the... Yeah, this is a very, very tricky bit of complex problem solving that one would rather not have to do. No question about it. But what are you going to do? It's life in the big city. So we're going to go to 52. We got to go to 52, and let's render it and see what it looks like in the show. It's here. And Control F12. Let's just render the thing out, and all we can do is hope that the warbling that I haven't gotten that yet. Yeah, so if you sent me some kind of voice thing, I have not seen that, and it didn't come to my Gmail. Just so you know. Okay, well that renders 56 whopping frames. We will maybe kind of sort of evaluate some of the other tweaks. I'm going to jump forward and look at this stuff with the prints. Yeah, this shot, I got the right concept, but the way it executed was terrible. And plus I've completely changed his characterization, more in keeping with where we want to go. So yeah, this looks one flaming heck of a lot better than that. Duh! But fortunately, and actually this is more consistent with what we see at the end of the show as well. From open, whoops, SL, veg, episode 2. So while Blender's rendering, we're just going to kind of bounce around here a little bit for a couple minutes. So yeah, Yvette, I don't know what you're talking about in the male voice. Boom. Yeah. See, I mean, that's the shot I did at the beginning of Vespar. And that actually looks more consistent with the characterization I did yesterday. So, definitely, that'll work. Okay, let's just go back to this. Blender should be about done rendering. And let's just see what we have. So that is fine. That is fine. That shot definitely needs some work. Now that's the first time we see Asher, so frankly, that is not the one that has the parallax camera move in it. I believe it would be this one. And we've got the same stupid problem, which seems to be solved by zooming way out and then hitting restore. Pretty crazy. Now this one's going to warble for sure. Nope. A little bit of a warble in his ears. Jeez. Oh man, that's so small. Look at that. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. we could say, well, this is the first time we see Asher. Maybe this is like a characteristic when he gets mad, his ears wiggle. Oh my goodness. I don't think that's going to be acceptable. I have to look at that on the big screen, though, up on the other screen at full resolution. And if it wasn't for the last wiggle, actually the first one's not particularly egregious. The second one is a little more so, and the third one's really the one that's a problem. You missed my earlier comment. Rendering a character interview like they do on reality. Right. Did the voiceover, I hope. Didn't distort the male voice too much. Yeah, whatever. All you can do is try. Okay. So that is definitely a problem. That's too bad. Let me see. If it wasn't for the stupid camera move, and the problem with this shot is that the original in Blender doesn't, the Blender file that exists does not appear to be the right one. There's 52. And I'm seeing a whole lot of nothing. So, not quite sure what that means. Okay, so the question is, can we compensate for this? Yes, we can. We can compensate for this. Here's how we're going to fix it, guys. This is such an awesome challenge that I just can't resist. Here's how we're going to fix it. First thing we need to do is set this so that we only are seeing the active item. What we want to do is we want to tween better. Okay? So I would say the location and the scaling, I'm going to close this up and see if it'll treat it as, yeah. Okay, so right there is where the weirdness begins. So I'm going to hit Shift D. So my goal is to have most of the change happen when he's really in motion. Okay, so I'm duplicating these keys. See that? And then we got this drift right there. Well, that's the same problem we have in animation all the time, actually. If he gets a little uptight and his ear pops up a little bit, that's okay. That I don't mind. But I'll bet, see, now you're not going to see it. There's a little lift right there, but I don't think that matters. It's arguable that that one could be taken out. Yep. You could actually take that out. Happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Okay, unfortunately, there's still one more shot to fix of Asher. So those of you who are bumming about that, get over it. We've got to fix our show. So if we got to fix it, we got to fix it. In 8 minutes, I need to get Zuko up, by the way. That worked. That worked. This is going to be hold on a second. Stop everything. Stop everything. We got to lift his eyes more. That's okay. This doesn't really affect anything. Look at this. Okay, it looks to me like I think we want to push the center down. I know there's a bit of a tweak on his nose, but I think what we want to do is push the center down. And push the edges up. So go, shift. And then let's see what happens if we really expand the influence and move the whole thing up a skosh. Let's turn off auto keying. That's better. Is it better? That's the original. Wow, what a difference. Not saying necessarily better. It's kind of hard to find the sweet spot here, but I think that's probably more on track. Okay. Okay, so anyway, we've got this last shot, and in the last shot, we should be able to do a simple, just a simple mesh deformation. We're not going to need a lattice since he's not moving, so this is going to be an easy one. Alright, so let's do it the same way we did before, and we'll get these done, and we can move on to maybe more interesting things. So I'm going to go Control-C, Control-V, make a backup of the image sequence, because what I want to map to the plane in Blender is going to be the copy, so that we can re-render back over the other one that's right there that you see. and that way it'll update in Vegas automatically. So pre-render for deformation. Alright, so now we can probably open up another instance of Blender while that one renders. Yep, we'll open up another instance of Blender, and so now you're going to see the whole process. We're not using a lattice, but we're going to go Mesh, Images as Planes. We're going to go to our folder, Scenes. Which shot was that? That's 54. Okay, so in Blender, we're going to go to 54. Hello, 54. There it is. We're going to hit the A key to select all. We're going to animate the image sequence, and we're going to put it in emit mode. There we go. So now we'll just immediately scale it up so it matches the camera. Tab, W key, and I'm going to just subdivide this a bunch of times. And all we're going to do is just create a shape key. Okay? And we can just go forward anywhere we want. And then we will jump. Actually, let's jump to the other screen here. I tend to keep two screens open, one for grease pencil and one for kind of sort of everything else. So now we need to be not in edit mode. Add two shape keys, and now we're going to edit this one. Okay? Again, you guys kind of know the routine now. You know the drill. We're trying to get the characterization in shape. Go. And I would say a little bit of a scale. Just a little. Just a little. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to hit the G key and flatten that out a little bit. Flatten that out a little bit. And now obviously his nose is highly problematic. That's pretty good. Okay, and then let's fire up the shape key and see if that feels about right. And I'm just kind of moving it back and forth rapidly to see where it kind of feels like, oh, there he is, you know what I mean? Not too bad. I think I like the, I'm going to stretch this down a little bit. A little bit more. Since I'm not using the full shape key, that's too much. But I think I want to be about there. Okay, let's compare that to the other shots. And that one was pretty quick. That looks really good. Yep, that looks about right. Yeah, I'd say it looks about right. This one looks like it could have maybe been stretched a bit more. I don't think it probably matters. Scenes 54. Where are you, 54? There you are, 54. Render. Okay. And we want that to be our image sequence. We're going to have to change this to a period because Blender seems to insist on making it a the same way you just use the shape key is the same way you can control it with sound. The extra step is in the graph editor. Bake sound to F curve. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll have to try that. I haven't even gone down that road. Let's just, wait, hold on. This is not going to be enough frames. This is 52. 54 is, well, let's look at the properties. Media. Up through 60. Okay, okay. Right on, baby. So this needs to be 60. Alright, one thing we could do over here in the performance area is maybe jack that up to 256. you basically gain performance at the cost of a larger memory footprint. Well, I'll take the memory footprint, thank you very much. This is not what we want here. This is supposed to be 54. I never saved this. Okay. I'm feeling frisky. I wanna fine tune this a bit. Okay. Call me picky. Call me picky. But I am not quite satisfied. Nope, nope, nope. I think so. Control F12, so we'll let that render. This one, yeah, already done. Like I said, you get a faster render in exchange for a bigger memory footprint. Pick your poison, baby. Pick your poison. Alright, this was, there it is, 54. Double checking against this. Yes, that was correct. So this one should be updated in Vegas, and it's not. So that means that this image sequence is named wrongly. That's a period. Scenes 54, render 054. Let's go to Vegas, properties, media. Come on. 054 render 054 0 to 60. What the heck? Did I not render that? Oh yeah, that's right. I stopped. I interrupted the render. Stupid. That would explain it. Yeah. Stupid attack. Okay, folks, I need to... Okay, so Amar says, looks like bots or trolls never sleep. Amar, I don't know what you mean, because I'm not... I mean, I see the Ariane Pahad, whatever, was kind of going bananas there for a bit, but I haven't seen anything new. So what's the bots and trolls comment? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about, young man. I just don't. Okay, I gotta go get Zuko up, so I'll be back in a few. I'm gonna let the stream continue while we wait for it to render. Alright, I'm going to have to get up in half a second to get my water. But, let's see what we have. Okay, yeah, same old, same old. Boom! Restore. No? Doesn't seem to want to... Ah, there it goes. Restore. It's like internally it's remapping the pixels in some way. That one is not as perfect, but you could arguably attribute the difference to clearly his ears are not wiggling as much. There's a little bit there, but it actually looks kind of cool. Almost looks intentional. Yeah, it could be they enter my chat stream. Kind of curious here. If I go to my own channel live. Huh. Yeah, that's distracting because I get the echo of the audio. Anyway, back to work. I'm going to let that one go for the moment. I think we're in pretty good shape here. At least we've got his characterization fixed. Okay, I want to fix that shot. This one, I really like that shot. This one needs some gradients or something to pump it up a bit. Let's open this one up and fix it, and then we'll come back to the prior one. Okay, so we'll close this, save our work. Well, let's get out of Blender. We're done with Blender for now. Same thing here, save that. Goodbye, Blender. Alright, let's jump over to Tahoma and see what was the most recent. I believe it was this one. Modified? Oh, I see. Duh. Right. Little stupid attack on my part there, folks. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we'll do it the Tahoma way. Okay. I really don't know what I want to do. I'm just going to feel it. And what I'm trying to do is add a little bit of a gradient, a little lighting effect. Just something. So I'm going to do a airbrush. And so I'm doing this the same way I would do it in Krita, which is probably going to be risky behavior, but we'll see. I'm going to do it like this. This is not going to look that great until I add some blending mode effects. And unfortunately in Tahoma you have to do that in the schematic, the node-based compositor, if you will. So let's look at how to do that. What I think we're going to want to do here. And by the way, you know, the other thing we could do is the thing that was suggested on a shot I did the other day, which was the body light effect. So, okay. So let's actually do the body light effect first. So I'm going to put this in render mode so I can see what it's really going to look like, and we'll just turn this off for the moment. Alright, so let's go into the schematic, and I just want to keep this as simple as possible. So for now I'm going to take column 2 and I'm going to add the light body highlight, just because I liked the way that looked the other day. Hello? I think you need to be piped through there, friend. And we don't want that. Okay. Not bad. Now if we're going to do that with Golik, the thing about Golik is he's bad. And bad people always are lit from underneath. Everyone knows that. So let's just change this to 0 and see what happens. Alright. So I'm going to go negative 10 and see what happens. Whoops, negative 1. That's not what I intended. Negative 10, I said. Okay. That's getting in the zone, so yeah, not totally surprising. So I'm actually going to double that, baby. I have 20. I think I like it better in front of him. Boy, that's pretty hard to control those. Yes, that I kind of like. Let's do less transparency for this, and let's make the color a little more yellow. Okay. Can we... I want to see what happens if we really take that over the top. Mainly because this is not like... Oh, I see what's going on. Right. Better stick with somewhat closer to the defaults, me thinks. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to play around with blending modes, just because it's absolutely nothing but pure fun to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to take column 5, which we want to turn back on. Okay, so we're taking column 5, and we're going to combine it with column 2. So what's the layer blending? I would say probably overlay would be good. Interesting. Now what if we take this and get rid of that? Oh wait, we have to go through body highlighting too. So I'm going to say, what if we go through there like that? Ooh, that's kind of fun and interesting. Alright, opacity. Oh, no. No. Okay, so the only thing I would say, the caveat would be, I actually think I want to reverse these lights, actually. I want to take the... I want to put the yellow and red in the back, because we're kind of hitting that... hey, baby. I'll join you in half a second. Okay, why are we getting red here when we've got yellow selected? That's a bit strange. And here we have red as well. Okay, everything's red. No matter what you do, you get red. Okay, I've never seen that situation before. I'm going to save all and kind of see what happens on the render side of things. Yeah. Now, it doesn't look horrible, but alright guys, I'm going to go disappear for about 3 more minutes. I got to get my water, and I'm going to chit-chat with Val for a minute, so I'll be back. I'm back, and gracious thank yous to all the people who, for some bizarre reason, stick around when I'm not actually doing anything, which is very nice. So I have an interesting choice I need to make here. I actually like the red. I think it's a cool effect. But there's definitely something weird in Tahoma right now. So I'm going to save my shots. Let's just save everything. And I'm going to reopen Tahoma because the idea that selecting colors doesn't work is a little strange. I wonder if I unpiped it through the compositor, if that would make a difference, but I don't know. With OpenToonz, I've always found that if you reload it, things fix themselves. In fact, somebody asked a day ago or a couple days ago, you know, if the software is so clunky, why not use it? Use something that's not as clunky. And I was like, well, actually, it's usually not clunky. So I'm going to hit the B key here, and I want to grab this. And now it appears to be grabbing the color. Let's see what happens. Now it's working. See, that's typical OpenToonz or Tahoma. Very typical. When it starts acting stupid, generally it fixes itself. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just actually go like that and then take a look at how that renders. Okay, yeah, that's more like what I was looking for. Oh yeah, that's much better. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this. Obviously it takes a second. So the interactivity is nowhere near as nice as Krita. So what I'm doing is I'm just toning that down. It's in overlay mode, so it's going to still sort of enrich the color. That's okay. And probably shrink the brush a bit and just kind of dial in a little darkness down here below. Yes, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm not going to rethink that too much. I am curious as to where his mouth disappeared to. Oh, I know why. I think I know why. Let me hit F3 and look at the schematic. I do believe that I would almost have to... Probably what I should do is just put the mouth over top like that. Well, that fixes it. So we'll just do that. That's the simplest solution rather than trying to do a complicated interweaving and alpha over and all this kind of crap that you can do. You can do it all. But why? Excuse me. So, all right, we got to re-render this shot, obviously. And we see a little problem here. Oh, no, maybe not. Okay, guess it just had to recalculate. Okay, I think I was being a good boy and I set up the render settings, and I did. So that means I can go Control Shift R and it'll just re-render it. We'll be good to go. Good to go. And as you can see, it's also rendering very, very quickly. I like that. I like that muy mucho. Okay, so now the only complaint I would have is I think that overlaid, I think the overlay is a little aggressive. So let's go into the overlay settings and just crank the opacity down a bit. Something like that, I would say. And again, thanks for Darren T's advice. We can, by setting up the render settings, it's really, really quick. I'm going to pop off my my hoodie. So it probably goes without saying that this is Youngolic. And I am curious about one thing too. What if this shot was if we just brought the opacity of it down a bit. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I got this music playing in the background that's like this. It's essentially Hindu-ish chant type music, because Zuko seems to enjoy it. It keeps him busy. Okay, so the characterization of Golek here, it's actually not horrible. It doesn't quite match this clearly, but we're just gonna go in and fix that. I think he doesn't move, so we probably can do this one in Krita. Okay, so this, save your work, save early, save often. This shot probably well, again, save your work. This is just a static image, and what number was that? That was 62. Okay. I'm betting that's a Krita. So we go boom 062, and I'm thinking that's probably it. Let's find out. Might not be. Oh, it's not. It's not the right one. Yeah, this is definitely a bit of a challenge. Having to go back and realize that there are some organizational hiccups. Oh, it's 60. Sorry. You guys probably could see that, and you're like, Dave, it's 60, not 62. Boom. Mosog. I didn't see Blender in the title, but I see you using it. Yeah, you know what? Mosog. I don't need to use Blender very often, but today it was, if you go back and watch from the beginning, you're going to see a lot of Blender, because I had to use some lattice deformation to actually modify a completely finished shot. So let's see what we can do here. Oh, looks like Golek's all baked into one layer, and it's just a single image. So this should be fairly simple-ish. Alright. So all we're trying to do is just a little mod, and we'll probably add a little bit of color tweakage as well, but yeah, this is a fairly old shot that just needs some work. I don't mind the look of it. Oops. I want to hit the A key, and let's do liquefy. Let's just liquefy. Ever since I switched my acceleration to angle, direct 3D angle instead of OpenGL, this seems to be performing a little bit better. So this is fine. Alright, now what I want to do is, essentially, he's supposed to have slightly Asian eyes. When I say that, I always feel like I'm at risk of being a little bit politically incorrect. Asian eyes meaning slanted. You know, I don't think it's any big secret that Asians have eyes that most of us would characterize as being somewhat slanted. So yeah, for sure. And you can, well, I mean, actually he's okay on that one. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Let's say let's just see if we can do this with some curves. I want to pump. If this doesn't work, it doesn't work. Normally you can get a more predictable effect actually by using layer effects. But let's just see. Yeah, that's too red on the hair. I think I'll add that as a filter mask so I can turn it off. And then let's just try doing it this way. Duplicate the layer in overlay mode. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna kick this in, but I'm gonna alpha lock it so I can actually do the same thing I did with my other shot. Do 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 do. Whoops. Just trying to put in a little bit of a, what the heck just happened? A little bit of a hint of some. This, I would say, is a little extreme, but that's okay because it's not that tough to tone it down. Ooh, I actually am, you know what? I'm kind of liking that, but I'm not liking it so much in the hair. This is where what you have in GIMP would be nice if we had it in Krita, where you can actually use an eyedropper to sample the image, and then it shows you on the graph where your color is that you're dealing with. I would say, let me just see what happens if I do this. Not horrible, actually. That's probably a good middle ground. Not too bad. Not too bad. And I like the overlay, but again, that's a little strong. So it's like doing EQ. You want to sort of ease it in and ease it back and see what you get. And now what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's go deep in here. Switch to plain old brush and go white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually make his eyes pop out a little bit here. Okay, it looks like that's not going to work. I probably need to bake it into the original. You solo this layer. Yeah, I just want to make his eyes pop out of the screen a little bit here. And what if we give him a specular? Yeah, not too bad, actually. Not too bad. File, save. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do actually is take this stuff, group it, Control G, and then merge the group, Control E. And the reason I did that is I want to kind of sort of maybe animate a little something here. So A key, liquefy, and what I want to do is just say, well, what if we let Golik show his annoyance just a bit over three frames, let's say. And then on the last one, I'll pick up the that'll work. Okay, this is 60. File, save, double check. I'm just going to check the location here. And this is scene 60, render, yeah, that's what I figured, so. Control R. I'm going to put it up here on the other screen so it's a little easier to see. This is shot number 060. 060 period, I think would be correct. Yep. Okay, that renders. That renders, and there we go. There we go. That color is more consistent with what we're seeing Yeah, I'm actually not too unhappy with that. Okay, cool. Definitely an improvement. Save our work. Okay, time to take a little breath. And now we'll scan forward. Okay, this shot, it looks to me like the push in is a camera. I mean, it's just a crop thing. Now we could maybe bump this up a bit with just some color correction right here. So let's go ahead and see what happens if we push up the saturation a bit. Maybe bring the gamma down a little bit, but then push the gain up a little bit. So we're essentially putting a little bit of a curve in here, if you will. Up here, getting things matched up. This is Golic convincing Vespigi that he should try to usurp the throne, and Vespigi's liking that idea. And then you've got this interesting montage where we're dissolving between paintings to show how he unseated his brother from the throne. And then many years pass. Now this shot, I'm not sure belongs in there. I'm going to leave it for the moment and not sweat it too much. Okay, so let's rewind to the beginning and just kind of look at what we've got. I'm going to have to go into my script, and I'm actually going to have to go into my script and make some changes to bring it up to date with the changes I've made in the edit so everything stays in sync. So this is all just feeling what happens. The whole backstory that gets the story going is what we're seeing here. And again, I've made it about 1.5 minutes shorter than it was before, so it definitely flies. It's quite nice. Golic has evil plans. And then boom, Asher shows up. And it's like, it's the holy man, Asher. Show respect. Okay, that jolted me. Okay, so this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Asher shows up. We have this. Why do we need this shot? That shot jolted me. It made me feel like, whoa, that popped me out of the story. So we're going to get rid of it mercilessly. Show respect. And then we just go to him coming into position. Since he kind of lands there, and that's not necessarily the greatest animation ever, I'm going to clip that a little bit into position. I wonder about this. He shrinks too much on the last key. Let's fix that. Okay. Loving Golic's look there, by the way. Okay, so let's go to 43. I'll guarantee you that's a Krita shot. So let's just do it. This is what you have to do, man. When you're dealing with a show or a movie, you will always get to this place where you're going through and you're literally massaging every single shot in the show. You just have to do it. Okay, so here, I would say from here on, let me see what the compositionally, I think it should stop there, actually. I'm taking these out. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a mod on this. Methinks. Okay. And then he could actually be... Whoops. Let's do that again. So I'm going to grab this and then hit Alt and Shift. Grab it, Alt Shift. I just feel like he's shrinking too much, man. There we go. Alright, re-render that. Save our work. This is 43. Control R. And we're going to change this to 43. I do certainly wish that Krita would remember your render settings for each shot, but that's life in the big city, folks. Dirt says, interesting. Glad you find it interesting, Dirt. Okay, so now the problem here is we need to go like this, change the edit point. Just go back, roll back to the beginning of it so that he goes, boom. Look at that, he just rises into frame. Boom, bop. Okay, yeah. So this is happening just a skosh too late. Alright, let's come back here. Asher shows up. It's Asher, the holy man. Show respect. Boom. Oh yeah, okay, so I like the nod thing. And then Golek gets snarky, because Golek's kind of... He's basically like, what do you want? No, it's looking good. It's actually looking good. Alright, this... Too slow. Okay, so boom. We're going to take this. I like Golek's action, so what we're going to do is simply split this shot right here. And then we're going to hit Control, drag, and that's going to speed that up a little bit. Nice, nice. No complaints. Now, I'll come back to this shot. I mean, there's some things about both of these shots that probably need some work. This is 44 and this is 47, so they actually are two different shots. But it's not egregious enough to camp out on at the moment and make a big deal about. This push in, I think, should be slightly stronger. Boom. Because Golek's got some attitude going on. Pop. Okay, now this is the shot that had the biggest problem with the lattice deformation. Why do we need that whole first piece of it? Why don't we chop it from there? All that matters is, does the story keep propelling us through? That's all we care about. Yes, that's so much better. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. I don't even know what the dialogue is. I don't care. I'll fix it. Boom. Okay, let's look at this. I see. Okay, we've got, this is almost analogous to a tangent in animation. It actually is analogous to a tangent. Meaning what? Well, he stops moving and stops talking at the same time with his mouth in an open position. That feels unnatural. I'm feeling like that camera push should be continuing. So let's jump to Blender and fix that. This was shot number 52. Let's fix that. Little things like this, you're gonna, if you want your show to be good, this is what you have to do. Okay, 52 was the one that was... I better check my folders. Sorry, guys. This was... I thought it was 52. There it is, and this is the one. Let me think about this for a minute. Everything stops there. Okay, this is a little tricky situation here, folks. Here's what we need to do. Let's grab the camera. All right? And what we want to do is right now on this frame, we want to hit the I key and insert a location key. All right? Because the camera move is baked in. So now from here to wherever we're going to end, let me see, we're on 41. We got to get to at least 56. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit go on the y-axis. And we're going to just push that in a little bit. Now hopefully we'll get a nice smooth transition from the baked in. Okay, not horrible, but it didn't really go far enough. And there is a little pause. So my guess is that if I take this key and move it back a few frames, it's kind of like an overlap. Look at that. Okay, and now if it's actually speeding up a bit, which it seems to be, then we just can spread this out a bit. And what we're doing is we're kind of hiding the seam between the baked-in camera move and the simulated camera move. Or I should say, actually, the baked-in camera move and the real camera move. All right, so I'm hitting Alt-A to let this play. And I'm still not liking that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let me see something. Yeah, that's definitely a tricky one. It seems to me that there was a slight slow. That's probably about right. Okay, now, is that going to do the trick? Let's save this. Let's double check our render settings. That was 052. Just want to make sure. Yeah, that's correct. So the only problem is his mouth. So how can we fix that? Well, the last image in the sequence, this is where it gets real ugly, folks. The last image in the sequence that we're seeing has his mouth open. But yet the last image in the actual sequence does not have his mouth open. So my suspicion is, if we grab this and look here, I think we're going to hopefully find, yes, there's the problem. This should be 60 frames. All right. Look at that. Problem solved. Okay. File, save, and Control F12. Hold it. I want to do what I did before. It speeds things up a bit. Let's go down here to performance. So let's get radical. Let's do 512 and see what happens. Again, we're going to have a bigger memory footprint in exchange for probably a bit faster render. Boom. Yep, that's definitely a faster render. Loading. Is loading a bot? How do these bots find... No, loading is not a bot. Loading is a person. I don't know what that emoticon means, that combination. That is little too deep for me, friend. Little too deep for me. But, yeah, I'm pretty impressed, actually, with how easy it was to solve that one. Little sip of my tasty beverage, which, of course, is just plain old water. So today we are not doing a lot of drawing so far. We've been at it for 2 hours and I'm getting a lot of shots fixed up. The show is actually shaping up, with the tiny caveat that I'm going to have to definitely make some modifications to the narration at the beginning of the show to really pack the backstory into a small space. But that's fine. That's going to be easy. That's going to be a piece of cake. Piece of cake, I say. Piece of cake. So, we've got 9 concurrent viewers, which is great. Starting to wonder how many of them might be bots, unfortunately, but... Anyway, so we'll jump away from here. He kind of says what he says and leaves the king. Okay, I'm going to kick this up a bit. This is where I just have to kind of get liberal. Now, liberal in the sense of just allowing my Vegas project to start to build up and grow a bit. it's what always happens. So now if I wound up reworking this shot somewhat, then I'd probably take this color correction off. Okay, so I'm very curious. What if we start here? Let's just check this out. Okay, what if we animate it? Let's go here to the custom setting, or I should say parameters. Go down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to animate them. Okay, so we'll turn animation keys on for saturation, and I think gamma. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to say that over the course of this shot, we're going to bring the saturation back down somewhat, and the gamma back down a little bit. So we get this idea that there's a feeling of dark foreboding approaching over the throne, if you will. Okay? Only problem is on this first frame, oh, I see what's going on here. We've got these, we need to have that locked. Okay. So let's go here to here. And then this is one of the flaws of Vegas, is because it wants to see the prior frame. In other words, if you go to the cut point between two shots, you're going to see the next one. So it makes it really hard to set a key on the very, very last frame. So generally you can get around that, well, like I said, generally by setting the keys one frame early. But for whatever stupid reason, Vegas doesn't seem to want to let me grab my keys. Curse you, Vegas. And that's too much of a change. So the only way I can fix that, really, is to lock this. Let me see if I'm going to be able to delete these keys entirely. I'm going to grab that, and it doesn't want to let me delete them. Oh wait, there it is. Color corrector, delete. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll just go to a midpoint, set the key, get it looking the way we want, and then we'll just move the key downstream. Right? Right? Understand? So we're going to close down the gamma a little bit. I just had it going down too far. And we're going to close down the saturation a bit. There we go. Now we can take these two keys. Can I shift drag them? Or shift select? It'd be control. Well, no, control I believe would actually make a duplicate. So let's do that, and then I think we'll have it looking about like we wanted. Not really. Not really. That's not extreme enough. Gamma. It's the gamma that's... There we go. Nice. That's all I have to say, kind of thing. He leaves. What does this mean? Superstitious ramblings. Nothing more. Are you sure? And it turns out that after Asher visited them, all of a sudden a pestilent drought and famine plagued the land. Golek is insisting, "This is Asher's doing. He's placed a curse on us." But he feeds the orphans. He helps the poor. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this feels a little bit strong to me now. I don't want animation keys. I just want to dial down the saturation a little bit. Just had it a little too strong. A little too strong. A lot of times, the only way you can see these problems is by flowing from one shot into the other, and you're waiting for something to jolt you to be like, whoa, that doesn't look right. We're in pretty good shape here, though. It looks to me like we are in pretty good shape. And now we are, I think we are almost exactly where we need to be. 27, 28, and at 2:30, boom. 15 years later, Mel shows up. Nice. Okay, so this is a little long. I'm allowing a little bit of time on the establishing shot because here in the background, this is actually the cabbage vendor from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I snuck him in there just because I thought it'd be fun. So. Thank you, Asher. Oh, now, plenty for everyone. Where is that Melchizedek? Bumping around noise. There's Mel. Okay, I'm liking the way this is looking. And then this shot, these shots were all redone the last couple days. Blah, 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 blah. Here's Luca. That shot was redone yesterday, fixed up. And then he notices something. Aha. Stop. Okay. I would say, this is 92, I would say we just got a compositional problem. Our beggar should be about here. That's just a stupid compositional problem. So let's close this up. Oh yeah, she comes into frame. And then it cuts to the close-up of the beggar. So, let's watch this play for a minute. So the reason the beggar's positioned where he is because Tariana comes into frame. So let's put a transform mask on the beggar so that everything about him can just be repositioned. That's way better. We'll kind of center him up a bit. Maybe tuck him right in there. Okay? And why? Yeah, it looked like she disappeared there at the end. Okay. Now, what else can we do with this? This shot is definitely not popping. So I'm going to just start right out with a gradient. So let's hit the B key and give it our big ol' honkin' airbrush. And just give this thing a little bit of life. Little bit of life. Okay, and now I'm going to check if we kick that up in overlay mode. Okay, that's okay. And then let's go with, I actually think this is a bit gratuitous. Oops, that's not the brush I wanted. But I'm going to try it anyway. Why would there be some kind of, why would there be some sort of leaf action in the foreground? There really wouldn't. There wouldn't, folks. I'm going to put it in there anyway, just to see if it feels good. If it feels good, we're going to go with it. Okay, stop. That's the paint layer. That's actually not too bad. Now, in a perfect world, this is risky behavior as well. I'm going to give it a try. In a perfect world, actually, let's just do a patch layer. Okay. So this is going to be a patch fix-up type thing. So the idea is that I want to expand his shadow. And it would seem that the easiest way to do that is just sample that sort of resulting color. And paint over that, like so. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is grab this brush and just give a little bit of noise to that shadow edge. And then I'm going to sample that color and kind of do the opposite. That feels pretty good. Now, honestly, I don't know why that shadow would be actually sneaking all the way over there, so I'm going to kind of block that in a little bit. Okay. Not sure I'm loving that. I'm going to tighten that edge up a bit. I like that better. Okay. I found an interesting free software called Storyboarder by Wonder Unit. It's a storyboard animatic software. You can create an animatic and export it as a storyboard with dialogue and actions. Cool. Let us all know how that works for you. Let us know. Ajax. For me, I'm going to keep sticking with doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it for the moment. I'm pretty much not really looking for software. But hey, someone else might find it super useful. Okay. So there's Tianara. So here's of this house color. This is going to be tricky. Well, there's more than one way to skin this cat. Actually, it'd be stupid to do it that way. Let's just do it this way. Let's put the background in a group, and we probably should save our work, by the way. Let's just put the background in a group so that we can add essentially a modification layer over the top of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just paint over the house. And I'm giving it a rough texture just because why the heck not. Okay, and then I'm gonna intersperse that with blah blah blah, some noise. Okay, I'm just playing here, folks. I'm just gonna see how it feels. Something about that house color is very, very, very weird. It's almost like there's this stupid looking gradient on the house that's rather distracting. The green color is a bit strange. And it's not the best drawing ever, that's for sure. I don't think I like that, but maybe that I think I'll live with. I don't mind that. I'll bake that in. Okay, N key. Yeah, I mean, I was going for a super cartoony style, you know, house, obviously. I'm going with that for the moment. Once again, it might be a shot I'm coming back to because this is definitely not one of my better shots. Maybe I wonder about putting Mel a little more blatantly in the shot. Oh. I guess she needs to be on top. Tippy top. I'm going to go with that. I'm going with that. Okay, so this is 092. Save. Getting hungry. Is it getting to be lunchtime? Wow, it's only 9:38, but I've been up since 4:30, so there is that. All right, Control R. Zero 092. Doesn't seem to be many storyboard software. They tend to cost a lot, like Toon Boom and Storyboard or Pro. Okay, so Arian is not just, you know, Arian is not spamming. So let me answer Arian's question. I think Arian is asking, what software am I using right now? And I think that's what Arian is asking. And the answer would be Krita. So Krita, Tahoma, and Blender. 3 different softwares. Just picking the right tool for the right job at the time. 4 frames, because at 8 frames a second, that would be 1 second. So I'm going to move this out a little bit. Then I'm going to move it out a lot. And then a little bit again. So we're doing an ease in and an ease out. And then what we'll do is mirror frames so we reverse them. That way when we enter the shot, we'll see this. Nice. Save that. Okay, and Arian is grateful. Nice. Glad I could help, my friend. Glad I could help. Okay, little deals like that can make a big difference to help the... Yes, it does, because when I was using it, the proxy character option's not working that good. Well, and by the way, guys, along those same lines, I think that for me, I would probably, if I was going to do a storyboard where I want to be able to draw the storyboard and annotate it, it seems to me I'd either do it in Krita or Tahoma. Now, Tahoma is going to work well with what Amar's saying about proxies, because if you go in and change one of the images in the storyboard, then the storyboard itself would update accordingly. But I kind of already have that situation myself. This whole show is actually, this is just the storyboard. Like, these shots are from the storyboard. And once I go in and paint them and resave them, then they update with the static versions, and then I manually replace them with image sequences so we can actually see the animation, right? So, okay, so yeah, this is getting into a section of the story where, oh boy, this whole area actually is going to need a lot of work. It's downright painful. Okay, so that shot really worked. That's pretty cool. Little improvement. Boom. He steps into frame. Keeps your mind engaged. And then she comes into frame. I feel like she's moving in rather choppily. So I think there's even room for more improvement here, folks. There's Tianara. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4 keys. I am going to solo her and turn on the onion skins. And what we'll do is we'll say, let's say she jumps to this position. What she would actually do is she would ease into this step and then pop to the next position. And then same thing, she would ease forward and pop to the next position. We're not really seeing her feet move, but I think it all happens so quickly that I don't think it matters. So let's just re-render and see if that helped. I have a suspicion it probably helped a lot, actually. Just want it to feel like she's moving a little more naturally. And frankly, since the time I originally did this shot, I've gotten a lot better at, you know, tweening. Okay, let's see this flow. Let it flow, people. Let it flow. Zoom. And here she comes. Yeah, see? See what I mean? Now technically, he says his line. She was already moving. I think we need to start this shot slightly later. He says, "Who will help the blind?" or something like that. No, he would say alms for the blind or something like that. She says, "How can I help?" No, she says, "Of course. How can I help?" Okay, that shot looks good. Obviously, Mel is a little bit gobsmacked by the cute girl. What about this guy, though? Okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to... I think we just need to fix his outlines and maybe balance the background a little bit. So let's go to 93. Alright, so I'm looking at the messages. You can also add your final draft script or equivalent. You can add audio or draw, blah, 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 blah. So I'm quite familiar. Not a master, but remember a lot of features. Yeah. Hey, baby. Okay, so we're going to 93. This shot is, as far as I'm concerned, done. And we're going to fix up 93. Minus 093. There it is. It's a Krita file. Okay, and this guy should be... Okay, those are like automatically generated outlines. So where is his mouth? Doggone it. Did we bake the mouth into... Yeah, this is horrible. This is from when I was doing some experiments with automatically generated outlines and things like that. Well, it looks to me like this would be his mouth. The question is, that's his whole face. Okay, so that's kind of bad. That's alright, we can fix it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this group and boop, merge it. Okay? So now it's all a matter of just putting patches on, and we're going to bring it to life with an eye blink as well. So here we go. File. We're just saving it. We're committing to it. We don't care. And now I'm going to grab my plain old pencil and my plain old outline color, and we're gonna dirty this guy up a little bit. Okay. Definitely not impressed with responsiveness here on the middle mouse button, but that's okay. We're going to work with it. So we're going to crack these down a little bit. Oh, sorry, my bad. I got to change something. Reverse. Okay, so the problem we have right now is that we have to put this on another layer, because if we make the modifications on this layer, then the minute we get to the next animated key, all of our fixes will disappear, which would be stupid. And we don't want to be stupid. So we're going to kick up this guy's outlines. We're going to allow them to become a little scratchier. Let's see, hit the N key. Okay, well that's actual size. So yeah, I specifically want to make these outlines look a little rougher. A little bit more life to them, baby. And thicken them up at the same time. Yeah, as I said, unfortunately, I'm not liking... I think what's going on is the updated driver. When I reinstalled the driver yesterday for the Digital Artist 15.6 Plus, or the Digital Artist 15.6 by XP Pen, The original driver that I've used for the last couple years that's been absolutely 100% flawless, perfect every time, blah, 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 that driver wasn't available. Installed the updated driver, and as expected, performance is actually worse. Have we ever had a situation where an improvement to something that works perfectly didn't actually turn out to make the situation worse? Never fails. Now, having said that, what I'm seeing here in terms of interactivity could actually be because of this. It could be, if we switch back to OpenGL, I think I had this on by linear filtering. I'm going to leave it on high quality. I don't think a restart is necessary, but so I don't know if that's a acceleration thing or if it's a driver thing. But it just is, I don't know. It's just not quite as responsive, which is a bummer. I don't like it when my stuff isn't as responsive. The other thing I'm keeping in mind right now is that it may turn out that this pose with this character gets used elsewhere, like in another shot. I don't know at this point if it does, but if it does, then I could reuse possibly this layer that I'm creating on a later shot and just use it over again. We shall see. Boy, I'm feeling carnivorous. Most of my eating in recent years is like 90% vegetarian, right? So I'll eat meat once a month or something. And but man, I'm like craving like a burger or something. That's kind of weird. Not bad, not bad. Let me see this. Yeah, could be that I have the pressure settings not quite dialed in as nicely. I'm gonna check that. It feels to me like it's just a little. Okay, you can see I run my stylus extremely aggressive on the pressure so that I can have a really light touch. So, all right, I'm looking at Ajax's comment. Yeah, you know, to me it's like if the tool helps you, yeah, it's worth a try. I've certainly played around with lots of different tools, and some of them wind up being a win, some don't. But yeah, the responsiveness, switching to OpenGL doesn't seem to have made a difference. But you can, if you watch the mouse versus the stylus, look at that. See, that never used to happen before yesterday. That never happened, ever, for years. And then because stupid Windows, if you have a catastrophic lockup, which in my case, I hate to say this, but actually what happened was I was working away and I was watching Darren T's live stream. And I thought, you know, I'll just go ahead and do the Discord thing. I'll be Mr. Social Networking. Okay, I'll do it. I've been sort of putting it off and haven't done. So I go to Discord, and there's a link to some animations or something over on like Twitter. So I'm like, okay. So I open a Twitter. Window, and boom, the whole computer freezes. The mouse becomes totally unresponsive. And I'm thinking, you know, I seem to remember like a long time ago, the only other time this computer ever froze up like that was after going to Twitter. I'm like, oh, great. So I have to hit the power button. And of course, Windows is really smart that way. Windows figures if you have to kill the power button and actually kill the machine, that means uninstall drivers, which is what happened. so then my stylus isn't working. So I reinstall the driver, but of course I can't find the original driver that, like I said, it's like 3 years old or something. Works flawlessly. Never a problem on any machine, any situation. It's been perfect. Sure enough, install the updated driver because the original one's not available, and now I've got like this lag that I've never ever had before. And for me, I'm used to what my stylus does. It is just like using a pencil on paper. There's no lag. Not used to this idea. I mean, look at that. That's just like tragically ridiculous. Under what scenario would that ever be like okay? Oh, it's so frustrating when the so-called improvements, updated driver. Why would I want an updated driver when I've got a driver that works perfectly? Just saying. Okay, so there's the paint layer. I'm going to insert a keyframe. And then here, I guess what we'll do is hit the G key, grab this. And yeah, so now everything about my stylus, everything I do is like a little behind. It's like, for me, it's analogous to, you know, I've complained before that Windows has had only 30 years to get low latency digital audio right, and they still haven't. Like, even now in the year 2021, they still don't have it right. And that's what this is like. This is like, it's like singing into your microphone. Instead of having it come back into your headphones like instantly, there's like a delay. You can't play drum. You can't record drums that way. You have to have zero latency essentially if you're gonna record drums. I want that to be quicker. So yeah, that's pretty frustrating. The year 2021 and we can't have crisp, essentially no latency drivers for hardware. It boggles the mind. Boggles the mind. 093, let's render this. 100 frames? Huh. 093, I better check the length on this. To 125? Oh. Very strange. 120 frames? I'm going to overwrite this, and I do the same with my stylus too. I don't know what you mean by do the same. No, it's pretty frustrating to have a hardware performance that's perfect, and then boom, you know, updated driver. Now you're back to like complete crap, 1992 quality responsiveness. I'm only jaded about it because I've seen it happen so freaking many times. So freaking many times. This is where I'm wondering right here. Here we go. Yeah, I reused that shot. Okay, not bad, not bad, not bad. I wonder if that's the correct background. Did I fix that one? I did. Okay. Carliana, she's going to have her characterization fixed. This guy, I mean, that's obviously pretty lame. Okay. Let's look at his background. This is a background that was clearly drawn by a right-hander. Look at that. Everything's literally slanting downhill. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and just do that. That's my fault, people. All right, I'm going to render that. And I think we're good to go. Referring to the stylish pressure sensitivity being set to high. Oh, gotcha. Well, according to XP Pen, the driver is for Windows 7, 8, 10. You know, I just really would love to find the original driver for the digital Artist 15.6 because it, I mean, I've run it on multiple machines. Just can't even emphasize strongly enough how flawless it's been. Didn't even need to calibrate it, actually, as I recall. Yesterday with the new driver, the calibration was basically stupid in the sense that I've got a multi-monitor machine. The only way I could even get the calibration screen to show up correctly is to clone the X in the middle. So it was trying to calibrate across the two screens, and yet the way it would respond after you calibrated was the normal way, where it's all relegated to the tablet screen. Pretty strange, considering that means that there is no application where calibrating that way actually makes sense. There is no scenario where that made sense. So I had to switch it to a cloned screen, recalibrate umpteen times, and then switch back to two screens. But, you know, this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with, right? So, okay. Still the disk or USB for that pen tablet. It's more than likely because I stopped using the monitor after like 4 months of using it. Huh. Yeah, I assume you probably got a bigger one or something. I was thinking about getting the 24, frankly. But, okay. I think we'll go with that. I think we'll stick with that for the moment. I may want to come back and bring that into maybe Tahoma and give it a little secondary animation, but I'm thinking I'm going to get me some early lunch today. I'm getting the hungries. But yeah, he looks a lot better, so I think with that I'm going to wrap it up. You use the 22 HD so long, also I need to update my drivers. I haven't updated them in a while. Well, but why? I mean, if you're, why do you need to update your drivers? I really didn't want to. There's no way I would have updated my drivers if, but I will look around because maybe there's a disc, but I don't remember a CD or a DVD coming with the with this screen. I just don't remember. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we're approaching 3 hours. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. And so anyway, I will see you guys later. I'll probably be back on later today. As you know, there will be more later.